Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 100th episode of the Let's Talk Tuesdays podcast. My name is Brendan Plays. Today we're currently live on Twitch and we are celebrating the show with a 2-hour special. And we're going to be talking about everything to do with Wrestlemania. We're going to talk about Raw, Hall of Fame, NXT Takeover to celebrate the 100th episode. It's been a crazy journey, a number of long shows, a lot of time and effort put into the show, a lot of hours just speaking in front of a microphone, but the podcast overall has been, I think, a great success. We kicked off the first probably 50 episodes of Let's Talk Tuesdays. It was the 10, 15, 20-minute format. It started to get longer and longer as time went on, where we just specifically answered the questions that you had. Then we kind of changed things as the show went on, and after about, I think, 50, 51 episodes, we changed it into the podcast format, where we went around about an hour to about 50 to an hour and 15 minutes per show. So it's been a great ride, it's been a great journey, but we are here 100 episodes, and it's actually fantastic that we've got 100 episodes on the week after WrestleMania. Now, it was originally going to be the week before WrestleMania, but I missed an episode not too long ago because I don't know why I missed that one. I think I was just away and I couldn't do it. But so it is great that we have this special event on such a great time, and obviously a lot of things to talk about, which makes for a perfect 2-hour podcast. Because I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to do 2 hours? But it's going to be pretty easy today. There's so many things to get into. Today we're going to talk, like I said, everything to do with WrestleMania. There's so many talking points about WrestleMania and so many debuts that happened on Raw. Everything that's been happening has been crazy, so we're going to get into all of that today. We've got all these live questions that are going to be answered as well from the Twitch chat right now. And if you are currently on the Twitch chat, just a quick reminder that the show will be available to download and watch on YouTube after the stream is over, so you won't miss anything. A lot of people the funny thing is I put up a video today and I said, look, I am doing the show live today. And I put that video out. In the description below, I said, after the stream, the podcast is going to be on YouTube. And in the video, I said, after the stream, the podcast will be on YouTube. What comments did I get in the comment section down below? Hey, Brandon, is the podcast going to be on YouTube after you finish the stream? Is it going to be on YouTube? I can't make it, but is it still going to be on YouTube? Yes, it's going to be on YouTube. I said 3 times, but still people don't really want to listen to me. But so yes, it will be on YouTube, iTunes, Spreaker, all that there. So today, let's get straight into the discussion, I suppose. WrestleMania. There's not really other things I want to talk about. I suppose a quick update on Universe Mode and things like that. I do apologize. I haven't done a Universe Mode for a few days. I just kind of needed a break. Last few days. I think I'm literally all wrestlinged out. I mean, WrestleMania just went for so long, and then we had 3 hours of Raw, it had the 2 hours of NXT, and 3.5 hours of the Hall of Fame a couple days before WrestleMania. It's just wow, fuck, I am all wrestlinged out. So, yeah. But, WrestleMania, I will say right now, I loved it. I loved WrestleMania. I don't care what people say. This is the thing. Everybody wants to shit on everything to do with wrestling these days. Everyone wants to shit on WrestleMania. They want to shit on Raw. And they want to love NXT. That's fair. But nobody ever wants to love WrestleMania. And I understand that. But I actually had a ball. Now, would I say it's the best WrestleMania of all time? Hell no. But would I say for the 5 hours at the main show, the 2 hours the pre-show was on, that I enjoyed it? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I had a great time. In fact, when there was an extra hour WrestleMania, because I thought it was going to go 4 hours, but I think it went to 5 hours instead. When there was an extra hour, I'm like, fuck yeah, another hour WrestleMania. This is great. So, kudos to WWE. They kept me entertained for 7 hours. I woke up at 7 a.m. to watch WrestleMania, and it finished at 2 p.m., I believe, 1 or 2 p.m. And I was entertained through the whole period. I was on the edge of my seat. It was only probably... Well, in the pre-show, the tag, Divas tag, I just didn't really care about that very much. And then probably the New Day and League of Nations, that match was pretty boring, but what happened after was amazing. So, other than that, there wasn't really any matches that I wasn't really interested in. So the rest of it, I was kind of, watching, and I was on the edge of my seat. I was really into it. So that's a pretty decent job. Now, were the matches probably as great as we were expecting? A little disappointed with some of the matches, and we'll get into that. But I think probably my biggest disappointment, I'll say it right now, was definitely Lesnar versus Ambrose, which was just, I guess maybe I had such a high expectation. I just thought this match was going to be brutal. I thought this match was going to be crazy, but it wasn't really. And I think it was just a little too short, and didn't live up to my hype. But other than that, that most of the matches I thought probably lived up to what I thought they were going to be. So, but we'll get into the pre-show, and we'll start from the bottom. We'll get to the top. So let's start it off right now. So we have, to kick it off, we've got the pre-show match. We started off WrestleMania. It was Kalisto versus Ryback for the US title. So the funny thing was, it was literally like nobody in the crowd for this match. I heard there were so many problems with people trying to get into the building. I read all over Twitter that nobody could get into the arena because I'm not exactly sure why. Was it because of the bad, of the staff at is it AT&T Arena or whatever it is? I think there's probably some people in the chat that might be able to shed some light on this if they went to WrestleMania. But was it that difficult to get into the arena? Because I saw on Twitter all these queues, thousands and thousands of people just trying to get into the building. And even when they got in, the lines were so long that they just couldn't get in there. So here's one. Dylan Celtic said he was there. It was so bad because the security and staff were awful and it was so crowded. So I guess so many people were probably there. And there was almost a riot. Wow. So there you go. So there was almost a riot. That's how bad it was. And there was people I could understand, because there were some people who tried to get into the pre-show. And I read on Twitter, and I saw pictures on Twitter, there's some guy who was in the queue before the pre-show began, and he couldn't even get in until halfway through the ladder match. So that's amazing. That's incredible. That's so bad. 2 hours of queuing. Could you imagine that? 2 hours of queuing up. You're seeing WrestleMania. You paid hundreds of dollars to get in to WrestleMania, and you can't even get in to watch the show. That's pretty bad. And mind you, it's not really WWE's fault. So Sandman in the chat, he got in exactly when Ryback and Kalisto started. So he was one of the lucky ones. So how early did you try to get into WrestleMania, Sandman? How early did you get there? How many hours before WrestleMania started were you queuing up? That would probably, for me, I guess you might have had to try and queue up for 3 hours before WrestleMania even started. I suppose, 100,000 people, 95,000 people, whatever the legitimate number was, trying to get in. So, damn, that would have been terrible. But so Dylan Celtic, he got in right before the pyro. So Sandman got there at 3 p.m. So I think it started at 5 p.m. So he got there 2 hours before the show. Oh no, he got there at 2 p.m. So he got there 3 hours before the show started. So wow, that's crazy. So that would have been a really long day. WrestleMania went for long enough as it is, but to have to queue in that early as well, it would have been a crazy long day. But so that was probably a big reason why the crowd was pretty empty until the first match, because nobody could get into the damn arena. No one could get in. So Ryback and Kalisto had literally nobody there. It was a ghost town. Felt like a TNA. No, I wouldn't say that. There's still more people than a TNA show. But so Kalisto versus Ryback. It was an okay match. I thought Ryback was going to win. And for this WrestleMania, I actually had some money. I betted on WrestleMania, and I did okay. I'm not going to lie, I did okay. I think I got 5 out of 10 matches, or 11. Well, I got half the matches correct. However many matches there were, was it 11 or 10? I got 5 or 6 out of whatever it was correct. So I did okay, because there's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of upsets. And Kalisto, he got the victory the way I would have thought he would get it if he did beat Ryback, just kind of rolled him up and got the win, a shock victory. But I don't think Ryback was on Raw either, so I guess Ryback, well, what a 3-week push and now back to nowhere again. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Ryback. Kalisto, for me, I wanted him to drop the belt. Was he even on Raw as well? I don't remember if he was. But, Kalisto, to be honest with me, I just don't really care about him. I mean, the similarities to Rey Mysterio is ridiculous, and he just doesn't really stand out on his own for me just yet, and there's not really anything that I kind of get into. He's had some great moments where I've really enjoyed him. Like, I think Kalisto probably should have been in that ladder match, rather than against Ryback. Ryback's an opponent that Kalisto can't really show his ability at all. All he can do is just get his ass beat and then get a couple of moves in it and get a lucky win. Whereas if Kalisto had been in that ladder match, man, it would have been insane. Kalisto would have, done all that crazy shit that he's done in the past. We would have seen that in the ladder match. So they should have probably had a different opponent for Kalisto, or had Ryback win the belt beforehand and get Kalisto in the ladder match. But anyways, so Kalisto and Ryback were not on Raw. That guy that did nothing said, okay, so they were not on Raw. So what is going on there? So what is going on? They're both not on Raw. I mean, to be fair, even Dean Ambrose wasn't on Raw, so I probably won't really harp on that too much. But I guess, so many debuts, so many segments were filled up by NXT. We'll talk more about that later on. But so it was not a special match at all. It was just what it was. There was not really much to really talk about. But so Kalisto got the win. I would have liked to see Ryback win, like I said, because I just feel like Kalisto's done nothing with the belt. They've tried to get him over, but it's just not working out for them. Next match was Team Total Divas, Brie, Eva, Paige, Natalya, Alicia, who defeated Team Bad, who were Bad and Blonde, who were Emma, Lana, Naomi, Tamina, and Summer Rae. I guess the big thing in this match to really look at and look forward to was the in-ring debut of Lana and how the crowd would react to Eva Marie. Well, unfortunately, there wasn't really many people in the crowd when this match was on, so we couldn't really get a fair representation of how badly that Eva Marie was getting booed. But it's still, you could still hear it on TV that it was pretty bad. I mean, but I thought Eva Marie did okay though. Honestly, I wanted to say this last week. I mean, last week I don't think I really said much about Eva Marie at all. But last week I just wanted to, I forgot to say, I respect Eva Marie. That's the thing. You can shit on her all you want, but I gotta give her some props. I gotta give her some respect, because Eva Marie is the type of woman that I see that could have just done absolutely nothing. Could have not trained at all. Could have just been the eye candy, and the WWE would have still pushed the living shit out of her. But to be fair, she went to NXT. She trained for a good 6 to 12 months or whatever it was, and she got in shape. She got in ring shape, and she learned how to wrestle. Now, is she fantastic in the ring? No, she's not. But can she get by? Yes. Was she an embarrassment? No, she wasn't. And she can do a few moves. She can get by in the ring, and that's fine by me. As long as she's not trying to do what was it, Cameron trying to pin people when they're on their bellies. I mean, some shit like that, and embarrassing herself like that. She needed to go in NXT, because when she first came on the main roster, she was absolutely abysmal. She might have been one of the worst I've ever seen. Literally the worst. But now, she's just okay. She's just average. She's just okay. About what you would expect for someone like Eva Marie. Here's the thing. Eva Marie is 29, 30 years old. She's got no time to be in NXT. If they're ever going to use her and do something with her, they've got to put her up now. So they've got the best this is the best she's ever going to get. Maybe 2 years' time, she might be a little bit better. Obviously, 2 more years' experience. But this is about as good as they're going to get her. So it's time to use her now, or don't use her at all. So I do respect her for going in NXT and getting herself, better. Did she embarrass herself? No. Lana, well, what did we see from Lana? We saw a kick, another kick, and maybe a slap or whatever it was. We saw nothing from her. She's not going to be wrestling again, I don't think. I think it's just a way to kind of use her on the show. I think they just have nothing for her. I'm actually surprised they even put her on WrestleMania. I mean, apparently all the heat that she has. So, I mean, Lana, whatever. I mean, she didn't embarrass herself, but they didn't give her a chance to embarrass herself. I think she was in there for about a minute. So, as for the rest of them, I think Emma got a lot of time, so she got a good feature, which was nice. I think Paige probably got the other feature on the other team. Brie Bella picked up the win. So, I guess the rumor is this Brie Bella's last match? I think most people are saying yes. I'm hearing right now that they didn't do a thing on Raw for her because they're saving it for Total Divas, which is interesting because I think, I think it's interesting because Total Divas doesn't air. They're saving it for the next season of Total Divas because they're saving that, but like, that's going to be ages away. Like, the next season of Total Divas, that's going to be like 6 to 8 months away. So what, we're going to just say, wow, where the fuck did Brie Bella go? Like, they could have done something on Raw for her. They could have gave her some kind of send-off at WrestleMania. It's kind of just a little weird. A little weird that they're just out of nowhere, just pulling her off TV, and that's it. But not everyone watches Total Divas. In fact, nobody watches Total Divas. The ratings are terrible for it at the moment. So it's very, very interesting that they're even, doing that. Jack is cool, 1892. He asked, will Paige ever get the Divas title back? Paige is like, 22, 23. She's going to get another run. I think the thing is for Paige is that she's just going to have to wait her time. She's going to have to wait until, the new crop of divas get their run, they get their time, and then when, the time is right, they'll get Paige back in there and she'll compete for it again. But for the time being, no, I don't think she's going to get the title because, honestly, I don't like Paige's look. I don't like what she's doing. I just think she looks, I don't know, I just don't like how she looks. Just not for me. But, I just think Paige, coming from NXT, she was great. But now, 2-3 years on the main roster, she's just really, really nothing anymore. I think she's kind of lost what she had, and now she's just one of those regular divas. You just don't really care to see her that much anymore. She just is what it is. So I don't think she's probably going to get the title for probably another year or two at least. So will Emma ever win the title? Now that's a good question for Emma. I mean, look, I like Emma. I think she's great. I saw her live last year when she came to Australia. She looked hot as hell. She's good in the ring. She's got everything you probably need from a women's champion now. So, I mean, will she ever win the title? I don't think so because it seems like the WWE just don't really see much in her. They kind of had her on the main roster. They paired it with Santina, which was just, well, that's just a surefire way to make me hate you. If you anything associated with Santino Marella, I automatically just instinctively hate. I hate. I do not want to know about it. I hate. So, yes, I think Emma, her chances of winning the championship are very slim. Very, very slim. Because I think, look about it. You've got Sasha, you got Becky, you got Charlotte. Paige is probably ahead of her. When Bayley comes up, she's going to be ahead of her. When Asuka comes up, she's going to be ahead of her. So you got all these women straight away already ahead of her. So unless the crowd gets behind her, unless she gets a push at some point and they see how she goes, if she's successful, they might give her the full run of it. But they made her return. This is the thing. They made her WWE main roster return. It came on main event. And if you return on a SmackDown, a Superstars, a main event, you are fucked. That's the thing. They do not give a shit about you. So, for Emma, I think it's very, very slim she's going to win that title. The big thing coming out of this was the change from the Divas title to the women's title that happened on the pre-show. And Rilt Moyes 10, he asked what I think about the new Diva belt or the new women's championship. I mean, look, I think the belt, I don't really like the design of it. I think it's very too much like the world title, but that's not a bad thing as well because that would, I suppose, insinuate that there's no real differences between the two. So I kind of get where they're going with that. I just don't really like the red in it. I just think the red looks kind of bad. I just don't like that. But, I think it's okay, and I think it's good that they have a change. That the belt needed the change. It was terrible. It was just, you couldn't take it serious. They're trying to build this Divas Revolution. How serious this Divas Revolution is going to be. And women's wrestling is now the shit, and they got a fucking butterfly on her shoulder. Like, really? Like, they needed to change the belt, and I'm glad they've done that. And the women's title, I think, and the rebrand to women, I think, will be the number one step in the right direction. Now they just need to start booking the women well, start giving them more time, and they did okay on what they did on Raw was okay. We'll talk more about that later on, but they just need to start doing more with the women, start treating them as legit, start treating them seriously, give them more time in the ring, and I think they'll be okay. Levesque wants to know, he said, don't hate me because I say this, but I want to know why you hate Charlotte so much. I think she's one of the best talkers in the business. She's also good in the ring. I just don't like her promos. I mean, her on the mic, she's okay, but they just give her so much talking time, and she hasn't really done that great, in my opinion, as a champion. I think maybe I just want to see someone else have the belt. Maybe I just want to see, Becky or Sasha Banks win it instead, but I just don't really get into Charlotte. I just don't really care for her all that much. But I think she's, don't get me wrong, I think she's deserved the championship, but I think she's just had it a little bit long now, and I wanted to see her drop it at WrestleMania and give someone else a chance, because, I feel like they're just going to make it all about Charlotte for such a long time, because obviously Ric Flair's daughter, blah, 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 but they're just going to have it all about her for such a long time, and I think, to me, that's not really fair. I think they should give everyone else a real chance. But to finish up on the Team Total Divas talk, do I think Naomi will ever win the Divas title? No, I don't. I think she had a chance a couple years ago. They did not give it to her, so she won't be getting it now. Will Eva Marie ever win the title? I could see that. I could see her winning the title. I think they'll see, look, she's getting so much heel heat. This is great. Let's give her the title. I can see it happening. The women's title also has unique badges. What do you think? I think that's good. I think that obviously that's the only way to kind of give it some, personality. And from title to title, it's going to be somewhat interesting. And I think that's really about all I can really say about that. Alright, so next matchup, the Usos versus the Dudleys. They defeated the Dudley Boys, did the Usos. I thought the Dudleys would win because I thought the Dudleys would win. They'd move on to a top-level heel program, but this is the thing. The booking on this show was retarded. I mean, let's be honest. So, we're going to jump around a little bit, but here, the Usos, they defeat the Dudley Boys. The next night on Raw, the Dudley Boys defeat the Usos, and now are going to be in a program with Cass and Enzo. So why do they lose at WrestleMania? Wouldn't you have Dudley's win at WrestleMania? Wouldn't then Dudley's win on Raw? Give them two big wins. They've got momentum. So when Cass and Enzo defeat the Dudley Boys, it means more. You're beating a team that's doing well. You're beating a team with momentum. You're beating a team that's, dominating. But instead, this is the thing. WWE are 50-50 booking too much. We've got to give the Usos the win at WrestleMania. The big win. This is the important win. Usos, yes, they beat Dudley Boys. Then we'll get the Dudley Boys a win on Raw to give their win back. And now they're going to compete against the Cass and Enzo. So, how does that help anyone? So the Dudleys win, and then they lose and they win. So what? They don't gain any momentum, but I suppose they get back to where they were. But the Usos, they win, and then they lose. So their win at WrestleMania means nothing now after losing at Raw. So it's kind of just ridiculous. It's 50-50. It doesn't help anybody at all. And that's the big problem with the WWE right now. The booking is terrible. Boss of Lately wants to know, do you think that because the Usos are related to Roman was the reason they got a few boos at WrestleMania? Oh, I didn't really hear many boos, but to me, I am just bored of the Usos. I just don't really care about them. I wanted to see the Dudleys win. But did I think that was the reason? Maybe a little bit, but I just think maybe the crowd is like me, is just a little bored with them. Maybe they just didn't really care. But I think the Usos are just stale. They're just being the same kind of thing, and they're not really letting them be entertaining. Like at the Hall of Fame, the Usos, they were interviewed on the red carpet, the pre-show, and they were very entertaining. They were great, but you don't see that personality shine through on TV, on WWE TV. You don't see that personality shine through on Raw. Is it because they can't really translate that personality into their characters? They can't really translate their personality into a wrestling persona? Or is it because the WWE just don't let them really get that opportunity? I'm not sure, but I think they're very entertaining. I think they're, very funny and very charismatic guys, and given the chance, I think they could get over that way. I think people would really get behind that, but for whatever reason they don't. Let them do that, but I just think right now they're stale. What do they come out? They don't really cut promos. They just come out and do their entrance and do kind of the same moves. I'm just bored of them. That's all. Just a little bored of them. I wouldn't mind seeing them. I mean, they only just returned not that long ago, so I don't know. I just think they need to change their characters a little bit. A heel turn, I mean, could I see them as heels? I just don't really see them as a heel team, so I'm not sure what they could really do. They might have to try and change things up a little bit with them. What was the best match on the pre-show? Levesque asked. I mean, look, the Usos and Dudleys, that was a pretty short match. So I guess by default, Ryback and Kalisto. Nothing was really good in the pre-show. So let's look up questions here. I think we're going to move along. He was one. Finners, 1912. He wants to know, do I think the Dudley Boys will ever be tag team champions again? Well, at the moment, I'd have to say no. I mean, I thought they would have won the titles. I mean, I think they would have won the titles if the New Day wasn't as hot as they were. The New Day went on fire. I would have fully expected the Dudley Boys to have won the championships. But, I mean, now, look at them. I mean, look, they are doing okay. They're still getting featured, but they're losing more matches than they're winning. There was a period of time where the Dudley Boys were just like a joke. The last 3 months or so, probably from February and backwards, they were not even getting on featured on TV. When they were just losing. So I'm not sure what they are doing with the Dudley Boys. Are they going to treat them as this prestigious veteran team, or are they just there to put guys over? I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of like one day they feel like pushing the Dudleys, the next day they don't. It's kind of like, whatever Vince feels like on that day is how the Dudley Boys are used. So if Vince McMahon feels like pushing them that day, they'll get a push. And then the next week he might decide, nah, fuck the Dudley Boys, and he'll give them a loss. So Vince McMahon just needs to make up their mind. That's the thing. Like, this is the thing, like I said. When they're pushing someone, they got to just have them win. Not win all the time, because that's when people get, negative to you. Like, look at Ryback, for example, with a big streak, or Roman Reigns, who, wins far more matches than he ever loses. But, let's say you got to win, 3 times more matches than you lose, for example. But winning then losing doesn't help anybody. Doesn't get you, doesn't get the crowd behind you, doesn't get you the reaction, doesn't get you anything, doesn't do anything for you. So if they're going to push a team, like for Cass and Enzo, now that they're there, they've got to just give them wins. Start them off, beat some lower level teams, beat up the Ascension, beat up Social Outcasts, beat up those scrubs. Then, yes, get the win over the Dudley Boys, but don't have them lose the next night. Yes, let them beat the Dudley Boys at Payback, but don't have them lose the next night. Or let the Dudley Boys beat them at Payback, and then they got to start building their way back up again to get to the Dudley Boys. So they got to go back and they got to beat some more teams to get to the Dudley Boys again, get their rematch. Don't have them lose and, don't have them win at Payback, then lose the next night on Raw, because that does nothing for them. So if they do lose at, for example, Payback, fair enough. Like the Dudley Boys, they're a veteran team. Cass and Enzo are still new, but then you start to build them up again. You build them up, and then you build up to them finally getting the win over the Dudley Boys. So when they do get that win, it's much more meaningful. But if they just have them win then lose the next night, it just does nothing. So they just got to think about that. Just got to slowly build up teams and more wins and losses for teams they're pushing, or anyone they're pushing. SKB wants to know, am I the only one who doesn't like the Dudleys and Enzo and Cass feud? I mean, it's a good team to start Enzo and Cass off because they're a veteran team. They'll get them over. The Dudley boys are great on the mic. Some good interactions will happen. And I think the Dudley boys are probably the perfect team to start them off with and get them some good reactions and get the crowd behind Cass and Enzo. Alright, so we're going to move on to the main show now. So we have the ladder matchup. Zack Ryder winning the ladder matchup over 6 other competitors. And this was the shock of the night, wasn't it? I mean, Zack Ryder... Did anyone at all expect Zack Ryder to win this? I still don't even know why he won. But Zack Ryder getting the win, incredible. I thought Zack Ryder was literally no chance. I wish I had put $10 on Zack Ryder to win because I would have won like $200. He was very, very large odds to win. I think he was probably the least likely to win the match. I mean, I thought Zack Ryder was even lucky to be in the match. I didn't think he would win the damn thing. But so Zack Ryder beat. He kicked the Miz off the ladder to win the title. This is obviously an easy way to get Owens and Zayn out of the title picture and onto something else, probably a one-on-one feud instead, and get the championship away from Kevin Owens, who I think is ready to move up, as we saw on Raw. So Zack Ryder winning, and now I guess we can, fast forward a little bit to Raw and kind of intertwine the two. But Zack Ryder winning the championship at WrestleMania, getting his WrestleMania moment, fair enough, getting that big, big moment, which was great. His dad came in the ring. It was fantastic for Zack. I mean, a guy has been in the WWE for 10 years, and for the last 3 years, he's been eating shit for breakfast. And, he hasn't been able to do anything. He doesn't even get on TV. He doesn't even get a match. Doesn't do anything. So, I mean, it was a shock, but I think it's nice to see him get a win. I mean, I've kind of shit on Zack Ryder over the last, 6 or so months and laughed at the guy. But look, he's no doubt about it. He deserves the win, and I think it was nice to see him get that moment. But it was all completely taken away from him. 1 day later? 1 day later, they get Zack Ryder this big, big victory. And 1 day later, they take it all away from him. So why do that? Why do that? Why would we give Zack Ryder a win? What point? Why? What purpose does that serve? What is the point of that? Is it going to help the crowd get behind Zack Ryder? Like, oh man, we feel bad for Zack. Let's cheer for him so he'll beat the Miz. But I don't think it will really work like that. I think people just don't see Zack Ryder as a legitimate, champion. They don't see him as a threat. They don't see him as anything other than a joke. So I think the way to go about it with Zack Ryder would have been win the title, beat the Miz on Raw, have a few wins, and people go, holy shit, Zack Ryder's getting a push. Zack Ryder's doing okay. And then if they wanted to take the title off him and do this whole storyline where Zack's chasing the title back, well, you would have needed to have built Zack up enough so you build enough trust in the audience that the crowd, gets behind Zack. The crowd actually believes Zack Ryder can win. Zack Ryder can actually, as soon as they put that match together on Raw, Zack Ryder versus The Miz, I knew right there and then that's the end for Zack. I was saying, that's it. Zack Ryder's going to lose the belt. You just knew it. You just absolutely knew it. And it's a shame. I think Zack Ryder, would he have been a great champion? No, I don't. I mean, I think it'd been okay, but I think it was always going to be destined to be less than maybe a 1 month title reign, yes, but I think it would have been nice to see him maybe get 2 months, maybe get 3 months, just see how he goes. But the way to do it if they're going to have him, lose the belt, would have, like I said, have Zack Ryder be champion for a month, so you build up enough trust in Zack for the audience that they can believe the guy can win. He loses it at Payback, which is the next pay-per-view, by the way. He loses it at Payback, then he begins the chase. So people go, oh wow, Zack Ryder, well hey, he has a chance to win this. He has a chance to get this title back. You never know. So people can actually believe in the match. But now they had Zack Ryder lose the belt after a day, and now immediately people go, well, Zack Ryder's a joke, there's no chance. Like, I thought immediately Zack Ryder was going to lose the belt, because in my mind, Zack Ryder has lost so much that it's hard to even believe the guy could win. So, straight away, I've got no faith in Zack. I've got no faith in him, so as a babyface champion, well, I can't really get behind the guy, because I just don't think he's got a chance. So, it just doesn't really work that well. Jackie's cool. Should Zack Ryder bring up the fact that he's the internet champion, or is that stupid? It's stupid. The internet champion is nothing. No one, even the crowd, even reacted to The Miz when he won. They were dead silent. Said J Powell said that. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, The Miz. Why give it to the fucking Miz? The Miz of all people. 5-time IC champion, or whatever he is now. 5 or 6 time. Why? I mean, what has he done to deserve the championship? I mean, I think Zack Ryder deserves it more than The Miz, because The Miz, for the last 6 months, has done nothing. He worked okay with AJ Styles. He got a bit of heat there, which is okay. But other than that, he's done nothing. And him now as the IC champion, it has degraded the belt even more. You could argue Zack Ryder ruined the championship by winning it, but it was a shock victory. Anyone could have won a ladder match. That's the thing about a ladder match. It's believable. And they kind of helped the stipulation out a little bit more as well, because it's a ladder match. If everyone's down and you're at the top of the ladder, you can win. Anyone can win that. Whereas if you had it been like a one-on-one pinfall match, Owens versus Zack Ryder, and Zack Ryder to pin Kevin Owens, well, that would be a different story. But Zack Ryder climbing up the ladder and winning it, that's fair enough. You know, that doesn't degrade the belt at all, in my opinion. That's just how a ladder match works. But The Miz, him holding the championship and winning it back for a guy who's done literally nothing and winning the title, they could have done better than that. They could have given someone else the championship. But I guess Miz, an easy heel. You can hate The Miz. Most people do. And I get why they chose The Miz, but they've got to get the belt off The Miz quickly. So either get this Zack Ryder thing over and done with and let someone else beat him. Probably what? I predict Apollo Crews will probably beat The Miz for the belt. That's my immediate prediction. I mean, they've got to give someone else has got to beat The Miz for the belt soon. So I suppose they might build up Apollo Crews for, 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a month or 2. Then he'll go after The Miz. But, so I don't think it has degraded the belt at all. I mean, also we had the return of Maurice as well. So that was interesting. And looks as though they're going to keep Maurice around. I believe she's going to be on SmackDown when they do the rematch. So I'm hearing that Maurice is going to be on Total Divas on the next season. So that's a big reason why they brought her back. So that's going to be interesting. So Maurice, I think she's 33, but she looks fantastic. She looks great. And I'm surprised they didn't bring her back sooner. Maybe she didn't want to come back. But you think about it. The Miz, this guy who's cocky enough as it is, he's probably an ugly guy. I think he's a pretty ugly guy. And he's got this hot as fuck wife. His wife is smoking hot. That is just going to make everyone in the crowd hate him even more. So really, it's a perfect idea. This guy who's a smug champion, he thinks he's an A-lister, thinks he's all that already. Then you bring in a hot as hell, woman as his wife, and, she comes out to the ring with him, he can brag about her and do all this. The crowd's just going to hate him even more. So it's kind of a smart thing to do to bring her back. And is this going to mean a big Miz push? I don't know about that. Maybe that's the reason why they're giving the Miz the belt, because they want to put over Maurice and get her back on TV and get the crowd established with her again. But it's interesting. It certainly is interesting. And I guess we're going to have to see how they're going to use the Miz. Are they going to treat him seriously? But it was interesting. Finners wants to know, who did I want to win the ladder match? I thought Kevin Owens was going to retain the title and then go on to Payback to defend against Sami Zayn one-on-one. So that was my prediction. That was who I guess you could say I wanted to win. Do you see the Miz forming a stable with Breeze and Maurice? I don't see them ever doing anything with Tyler Breeze. I think he's done. Tyler Breeze is done at this point, and they don't care about him at all. Do I think Vince understands Zack Ryder's gimmick? Probably not. Probably a big reason why they didn't push him is because they Vince McMahon doesn't get it. Like, look at like a Bo Dallas or a Tyler Breeze. Perfect examples. Vince McMahon, I can see him not getting it, and which is why they never gave him a push. So, Boss of Lately, do you remember when last year on a stream we had a moment of silence for Zack Ryder because we thought he was released? Definitely, I remember that. Yeah, poor Zack. We thought he was gone, but he was okay. He was okay, and that was great news to hear. But we thought he was gone, so we had a moment of silence to commemorate the loss of Zack. All right, moving on to the next one. Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles, a match I was definitely looking forward to a lot at WrestleMania. It was a good match, not as probably amazing. I don't know. I don't really remember the match all that well, to be honest with you. I guess it kind of didn't really stand out as an incredible match. I thought AJ Styles would win, and this is here we go again. So let's talk about this. WrestleMania. Chris Jericho beats AJ Styles. Next night on Raw, AJ Styles is now the number one contender for the world title. Why the fuck would AJ Styles lose at WrestleMania then? Why not have AJ wins at WrestleMania? AJ wins on Raw. AJ number one contender. AJ looks strong. He looks like a credible opponent. He looks like a contender. Instead, WrestleMania. AJ Styles loses. He wins on Raw, 50-50. Well, AJ Styles, he just lost to Jericho. He got a win in the Fatal 4-Way. Is he a legitimate contender? Do we believe he can win? We're doubting it. We're doubting Styles can do it. If he had beat Jericho, won the Fatal 4-Way, immediately you think, well, hey, Styles is good. Styles, he could win the title. He's a legitimate contender now. But instead, we're doubting AJ Styles because they just, I don't know. I don't know why. Immediately I thought when they had the Fatal 4-Way, I thought Jericho's going to win it. Because in my mind, Jericho won at WrestleMania. As soon as Jericho won against AJ Styles at WrestleMania, I said they're going to do a Reigns versus Jericho feud. I could just see it. They needed a heel, a top-level heel for Reigns to feud with. I thought Jericho would have been the perfect opponent. But now, I guess, we'll talk more about that later. But now they're going in a different direction. So, Styles and Jericho, good match. Probably the better of their match series. I thought it was a good one. I just think people were a little disappointed that Jericho won. But like I said, if it had led to Jericho getting a title shot, fair enough. But instead, it was the other way around, which is, makes no sense at all. Maybe they changed plans. Maybe the plan was for Jericho to get the title shot. Then they changed plans just before Raw began or during the show and said, oh shit, we better change it to Styles. I'm not sure. Really not sure. Maybe it'll turn into a triple threat. Maybe it'll turn into a Fatal 4. Maybe they'll, add Jericho in because they probably might need to. Because Jericho could say, look, I beat Styles. I'm better than AJ Styles. I deserve a title shot, not AJ Styles. Food for thought. Let's. I think we'll move on from that one. But League of Nations versus the New Day. This is a match I couldn't give a shit about, but it was a shortest match. Not really much to really say. I had a big feeling the League of Nations would win because I predicted that the League of Nations would probably go and get a title match in the future, and I'm not sure if that's going to be the case because they just got beat on Raw. So are they done? Are they League of Nations? Is that thing done now? Are they going to... They dropped Wade Barrett. We'll talk more about that later, but they dropped Wade Barrett. Actually, we'll talk about that now. So League of Nations, they dropped Wade Barrett. Now, Wade Barrett's a guy I couldn't give two shits about. And the rumor is he's going to leave the company very soon, which is great. Goodbye. So are they going to bring in another member? Or are they just going to stay as a trio? Which I probably think is the way to go. Maybe just stay as a trio. But what is the future for those guys? I just don't see it. They've already lost to the New Day so many times now that the legitimacy is gone. And here we go again. I mean, this is the thing. Like, why would they change the match in the last second? Before we get into the 50-50 stuff, I mean, they scheduled it to be a handicap match. In the last second, they changed it into a 3-on-3. So they must really not like Wade Barrett. They really must not like this guy because he did not compete at WrestleMania. Or is he not 100%? I don't know. But Why would they change that? Why would they change that? Why would they get rid of Wade Barrett? Because if you had the New Day lose in a handicap match, well, that's fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. But instead, they had, they changed it to a trio, and they lost the round 3, so whatever. By the way, the New Day's entrance was fantastic. I love the cereal dropping down, and all the cereal coming out of the box, and the New Day coming out of the box. That was fantastic. Them coming out as, Super Saiyans was interesting. Did not expect that, but that was pretty cool. So I thought the New Day's entrance was great. I think we all kind of expected something crazy from those guys, and it was good. It was great. And should Austin and Michaels go for the tag titles? I tell you what, after the match, Austin, Foley, and Michaels came out and beat up the League of Nations. Shawn Michaels, he is in terrific shape. He looks like he hasn't left the ring in years. He looks like he is ready to go. He's in ring shape. He looks ready. And that was pretty cool, him coming out and beating up the League of Nations with Austin and Foley, who, by the way, Foley, I think he's lost like 50 pounds. He looks great as well. He's getting there. I would have liked to have seen Austin come out in the black trunks and the knee braces, the old school Austin look. That would have been cool, but unfortunately, he just came out in the shirt and jeans. But that would have capped it off. I mean, Michaels came out in ring gear, so if Austin had came out in his ring gear, it would have been awesome. But whatever. It was still great. That was a great moment. They came out and Xavier Woods tried to get Austin to dance with him, and Austin, I'm like, please, Austin, don't dance. Please don't do it. And he danced a little bit and gave him the stunner. I'm like, thank goodness for that. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. Probably one of the highlights of WrestleMania, no doubt about that. Whose WrestleMania entrance was the best of the night? I'm going to say Triple H. I think Triple H, I really liked his entrance. I thought it was freaking cool. Absolutely awesome. The New Day, like I said, was good. He thinks Sasha Banks was the best. I like Sasha Banks, but I thought the female singer was horrible. She sucked. Snoop Dogg was good, but other than that was really all Sasha had. Just kind of the singer coming out, whereas Triple H had it all. He had all the theatrics, and Stephanie McMahon. I don't know what the go with that was. I'm wasn't that keen on what she was doing, but that was interesting. No doubt about that, interesting. But so you probably would say Triple H, because I think Triple H's entrance is always awesome in my eyes, regardless. So him doing that was just awesome. So we had Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose. I touched on this a little bit earlier on, but Lesnar versus Ambrose, the disappointment of the night. I really wanted this match to be great. I wanted blood. I wanted hardcore. I wanted to use thumbtacks. I wanted to use the barbed wire bat. Do all that. Instead, all we got was steel chairs and kendo sticks. Just your regular Extreme Rules match that we normally see. Your regular no DQ match. Didn't feel special. And the chairs thing, when we see all the chairs piled up, we've seen that a number of times now. So, I'm not sure why. Finners wants to know who's my favourite superstar of the New Day. Just to finish that off, probably Big E is my favourite of the New Day. But anyways, back to the Lesnar and Ambrose match. I just felt as though this match, maybe I had so much high expectation for it, but it just didn't really live up to the hype at all for me. It was a little disappointing, and I just wanted it to be great. Really did, but unfortunately, it just really wasn't. It really wasn't great, and some people enjoyed it, but to me, maybe I had so much expectations. It just felt as though it was too short. I was hoping like a good 20-minute match, but I just didn't like it. Lesnar winning was the right choice, because Lesnar, he's your top draw, and you've got to protect that top draw. Ambrose losing, people say, oh my god, Ambrose should have won, it was ridiculous. No, I don't think Ambrose should have won. I thought that Lesnar was going to win right from the get-go, and there's no surprise to me at all that Ambrose lost. And I think that was the right way to go about it, because Ambrose, he does not deserve a win over Brock Lesnar yet. You think about it, Brock Lesnar is like Superman. Brock Lesnar is like, beating the Hulk. Brock Lesnar is God. He's the man. He's the end-all. You're playing Mortal Kombat. He's the final boss. He's the last guy you got to beat. Lesnar's the toughest opponent. So to beat Lesnar is the ultimate win. Does Ambrose deserve the ultimate win just yet? Well, he hasn't really beaten the other guys beforehand. He hasn't beaten the Roman Reigns, hasn't even beaten the Bray Wyatts, hasn't beaten your John Cena. So he hasn't beaten, boss number 7, 8, 9, and he's trying to beat boss number 10. So he's got to beat 7, 8, 9 before he beats 10. So if you get what I mean. So I think Ambrose, whilst I like him, I think he's great, but I don't think he deserves a victory over Brock Lesnar just yet. I don't think he's over enough. I don't think he, you don't want to devalue Brock Lesnar. You don't want to hurt him. If you're going to have Brock Lesnar lose, it's got to be for the right guy, the ultimate babyface. The build-up has got to be perfect. You've got to have this guy. He's been working and working all year round to get that win. Ambrose, yes, he works hard, blah, blah, blah. Let's forget all about that. But think about it storyline-wise. Just lost to Triple H. He didn't get the number one contender role. He's lost all his other marquee matches. So really, does he, in storyline-wise, is he better than Brock Lesnar? No, he's not. Does he deserve to beat Brock Lesnar? No, he's probably not. Would you believe that Brock Lesnar would lose to Dean Ambrose? I don't. I certainly don't. So you can argue that all you want. People can have their different opinions on that all I want. But my opinion is Brock Lesnar winning is the right decision. Protect your marquee draw. He's the guy who you pay $6 million a year, was it? One of the top paid guys in the company. You got to protect that. He's your main draw. You got to protect that. And there's going to come a time where Lesnar's going to lose. But it's got to be to the guy who you build up for a long time and needs that win. I think the way to do with this match would have been for Lesnar to, take all these extreme, bumps. Ambrose is just, well, not bumps, but, Ambrose is beating him up with these weapons and everything like that. But, Lesnar just gets the better of him. Ambrose is using all these weapons and using all these different things, and he's getting the better of Lesnar, but Lesnar, is panicking. But instead, they kind of went the same route. Lesnar was just suplexing Ambrose around the ring. Yeah, Ambrose got a few shots with the weapons and things like that, but, at the end of the day, Lesnar just beat him up and got the win. But I think Ambrose is great. Don't get me wrong, the chat probably kind of thinking, well, what the fuck, Brandon, you hate Ambrose? No, but I just feel like right now is not the best time for Ambrose to beat Lesnar. If they're going to have him beat Lesnar, then I would have him win and be a champion, maybe, and then, you got to build that up. You got to build it up and make the win more meaningful and lead to something. Because if Ambrose won, then what? Lesnar, when he comes back, he's not going to be worth as much, and then is Ambrose in the title picture? No, he's not. So you got to think about that. You think, yes, I want Ambrose to win, but you got to think about it. What would the win do for Dean Ambrose? Where would that lead to? Roman Reigns is already the champion, and they're not going to have Ambrose versus Reigns because they're both baby faces. So Ambrose would not get a title shot. So what would it lead to? A feud with Sheamus, a feud with Del Rio, a feud with Chris Jericho, feud with Kevin Owens. I mean, where would that lead to? Nothing of a high level magnitude, in my opinion. So it's probably best right now that you save that for later. That's just my opinion. But anyways, any questions about that? Do I think the feud is over between Ambrose and Dean? Brock and Dean. I would say yes. I don't think Brock Lesnar's going to be back until SummerSlam, so I think he's going to be gone for a while, and Ambrose will move on to somebody else. Who would I eventually have Lesnar lose to? That's a tough one. I would have said Roman Reigns last year. I would have said Roman Reigns deserves to beat Lesnar, and that would be the win to solidify Reigns as your marquee champion. Because that's the thing. Roman Reigns, if he had to beat he was, tipped to be the champion, the top guy of the company, the world champion. So if you had Reigns defeat Lesnar, he's then moving on to be the champion. It makes sense. It makes sense because Reigns is going to be the champion. You've got a top-level champion. You've solidified him as a legitimate champion, a great champion already. He's beaten the top guy in the company. You put him over. But if, for example, Ambrose winning, then what? What's next? He's not a champion. He's just going to feud and, eventually build himself up again to become a champion. He's going to try and get himself back in the title picture. But it's different because Reigns last year, for example, would have been champion, and you can have him become a top level guy of the company right from the get-go. So for right now, who would I have win? Well, they're really not building anyone up to that position yet. I don't think there's anyone on that level ready to beat Lesnar. I don't think Reigns needs to beat Lesnar now. I think that's fine. You don't need to do that. So they're going to probably have to wait a while and build someone up enough. Who would that be? I mean, I don't know. Kevin Owens? Would you believe Kevin Owens could beat Lesnar, though? Yeah, this is the thing. You got to believe it. You got to believe it. And it's difficult because Lesnar is such a beast that it's hard to believe anyone could beat him. There's probably only guy that I can see right now might be, Apollo Crews, for example. But that would be too soon. A Baron Corbin? I would hope not. But I'm hearing rumors that there might be Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. Now, for the love of God, if Braun Strowman beats Lesnar, that would be disastrous. He does not deserve that win at all. So, for now, I would say nobody deserves to beat Brock Lesnar. Maybe in a year's time we'll revisit that, but for right now, let's kind of shelf that a little bit. Women's Championship matchup. It was the triple threat. Charlotte, who retained the Divas title and won the women's title, defeated Sasha and Becky Lynch. A lot of people hated the finish. I liked the finish, where Ric Flair grabbed Sasha Banks' boot. This is the thing. We rarely see managers anymore, and when we do see them, they don't do anything. Ric Flair helping Charlotte win matches is what Ric Flair does. It's what a manager should do. So, a manager, Ric Flair, he loves his daughter. He wants his daughter to be champion so badly, he's going to do anything he can. Help out in any way for her to keep the title. If she's trying to pin someone and he sees Sasha Banks trying to get in the ring and he can grab onto her without getting her disqualified or anything like that and keep the title, well then wouldn't logic say yes, he's going to do that? It makes sense. It's realistic. Managers, rather than just standing there and doing nothing. Biggest match of her career, WrestleMania. Ric Flair you'd want to hope he'd do something to help her. So it makes sense. The finish was good. We don't see cheating enough anymore. Heels being heels, we don't see that enough. I think people were just pissed off. And I say that because I read Twitter afterwards, and I just read all these tweets. Oh my God, it was horrible. I can't believe they would do that. Blah, blah, blah. I think people just pissed off that Sasha Banks didn't win, more so than the finish. But I thought Sasha would win that match because I was hoping Charlotte would lose the belt. But as it turns out, Charlotte kept the belt. And I'm okay with that because now you have a women's championship. Charlotte's probably a good kind of advocate for the women's championship from the get-go. So from the get-go, I think that's not a bad decision to do. And maybe after a couple months, you take the belt off Charlotte and give it to someone else, because I think Charlotte's had the belt long enough now that you could take it off her. But you don't want to have the first women's champion lose it that quickly. So I guess now expect to have Charlotte as champion for at least another 3 months. I think that would be the realistic time frame right now. Sasha deserved the WrestleMania moment, in your opinion? I definitely agree. I think Sasha deserved it. But look, all three of the women deserved it. I mean, it was all their first WrestleMania. All three of them deserved it. I personally wanted Becky Lynch to win because I'm a Becky Lynch fan. But all three of them deserved the win, so you could kind of use that same kind of mindset for all of them. But, Charlotte winning, expected to see her hold the championship for a little bit longer. We're going to kind of race through a few more of these. How long were we going for? Okay, we've been about an hour now, so get through a bit more of this. Undertaker versus Shane McMahon. Taker defeated Shane McMahon. It was the slowest match, but they took it to the outside of the cell, and Shane McMahon took the leap of faith, the dive off the Hell in a Cell, which was a moment that you'll never forget. That was incredible. Shane McMahon is a crazy bastard. Now, the rumor is it was crash pads under the table to help break his fall, but even so, so many things could go wrong jumping off the cell. Even if there was a crash pad or a safer landing pad, still, that is a crazy, crazy jump, and that was amazing. I thought no way would he do it because I'm thinking, look, Shane McMahon's 46 years old. he's already a millionaire. Does he really need to do that? I just couldn't see it. I just didn't think anyone would ever jump off that cell that high. And Taker getting out of the way, probably a good thing, I suppose, to, you know, have the table break his fall rather than Taker, because that probably could have legitimately really hurt Taker if he had landed on him. So, yeah, it was a great moment, and I thought the match was probably my favorite of the night, just probably because of that moment and the crazy things that happened in it, and I really enjoyed the matchup. It's just kind of like an iconic match. Those are the type of matches I like. You know, I'm not all about, you know, the wrestling matches, so to say, like a big moment, you know, the crowd going nuts. That to me, that draws me in more so. Like, I know a lot of people said the women's match was the best match of the night, and I kind of see what they'll think with that, but I just didn't think it was anything incredible, anything that special. I thought it was a good match, but I didn't think it was amazing. Like, I think people are kind of overrating it a little bit, but that's just my opinion. But like I said, it was a good match. But I thought, for me, Shane McMahon, was it a better match than the women's match? No, but for me, I enjoyed it more because of the big moments, the big star power feel, the big fight feel, Hell in a Cell, all these different elements. You combine that into one, and it made, for me, much more of an entertaining viewing than the women's match. So whilst it may have not been the best match up, you know, the in-ring match, so to say, for me, it was the most entertaining and the most enjoyable match. So that's the thing. Like, a lot of people kind of, you know, disregard that. Like, they think, what was the best match? Well, hey, the best match is what you enjoyed the most. Your best match is like what you had the most fun watching, what entertained you the most. And for me, that was, you know, the Hell in a Cell. So, nothing topped that women's match. Shane jumped, but come on. Like I just said, the women's match was a great in-ring spectacle. But for me, the Hell in a Cell was the most entertaining, the most enjoyable match in my eyes. More moments, Hell in a Cell, two legends, etc., etc. So, well, like I said, the best in-ring match, probably the Divas, but the women. But the most enjoyable match for me was Shane of Hell in a Cell. We had Baron Corbin won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. As soon as he came out in the entrance, and by the way, he got a jobber entrance. He didn't even get his own entrance. That was a little bit weird. Like, why didn't they just give him his own entrance, like as a surprise entrance? They just kind of had him out there. Same with Tatanka. Like, I didn't even, like, halfway through the match, I'm like, is that Tatanka? What the fuck? You know, so that was just odd how they did that. So I didn't get that at all. But him winning was a good choice. Shaq came out, Shaquille O'Neal, which was fine. He's big, he's huge, so that was cool. And you know, he eliminated a couple of people, and then him and the Big Show kind of eliminated themselves and whatever and got out there. So that was fine. I was okay with that. So Baron Corbin winning, you know, it's an easy way to get him on the main roster and get him a decent win to kick him off. Then we had The Rock and the Wyatts kind of do a bit of a showdown. The Rock had a match with Eric Rowan, beating him in 6 seconds, so that was ridiculous. But, yeah, I didn't mind this segment. I just felt like it went a little bit too long, the whole, you know, the Wyatts and The Rock thing. I think The Rock took too much time, you know, starting it all off, but it was fine. Cena coming out for the save, which was okay. You know, I think we kind of expected Cena to come out, but that was fine. So, nothing wrong with that. I enjoyed that. And I guess the main event time. We had Roman Reigns versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I got a lot of flack on Twitter for this because I said I enjoyed the match. Now, people said, Brendan, do you have shit in your eyes? Brendan, you're a fucking idiot. How the fuck did you enjoy this? I said I enjoyed the finish of the match. It started off very slow. Like, it took a while to get into it, but I thought they finished the match strong. I thought that Reigns hitting the spear on Stephanie, and then, you know, Triple H getting furious, and then Reigns, you know, well, you know the finish. What happened there? I thought they finished the match strong. But the lead up to it, not so much. So it was a pretty weak main event for WrestleMania. It's not a great main event. Was it as good as last year's? Definitely not. But it was yeah, I'm going to say it was a pretty poor match. It was a pretty poor match, but I thought they finished pretty strong. So, but the thing is, Reigns celebrating at the end, just celebrating and, you know, celebrating the title win, just was such a poor finish to WrestleMania, and the crowd booing Reigns so time. And the spear through the barricade was insane. That was a good spot. I definitely liked that one. Spearing Stephanie was awesome. I like that. It's so rare that we see a male, you know, hit a woman in WWE. I think it's just forbidden now. So even if it was accidental, but I suppose when used, it's so effective. Like Reigns spearing Stephanie, that's huge. Like that's wow. So that was a great moment. I definitely think that was probably the highlight of the match, which is pretty sad, but I think that was the highlight of the match. And like overall, like the crowd, they booed the hell out of Reigns, booed out of the building, I guess you could say. They didn't get into the, you know, I think we all expect that. We didn't really get into Reigns, and they didn't really get into him and really support his win. But I mean, I think we all expected that. I think the WWE expected that. They tried to kind of mute the crowd a little bit, and Bentley G just said, should the WWE ever try to silence fan reactions like they were accused of doing in the main event? I don't think they should. I think they should just let the crowd say what they want, you know, cheer what they want. If they like it, they can like it. If not, well, if not. You know, I think right now, in terms of wrestling, where we're at right now, to determine a character is just your own perception. A lot of the times, rather than having faces and heels, I think sometimes we should just have, if you like her, she's a face. If you don't like her, she's a heel to you. You look at Asuka, for example, in NXT. You could argue, is she a face? Is she a heel? You could argue both ways. For me, it's like, I think she's a heel because, you know, I would rather see Bayley beat her in that moment. So for me, I think Bayley is the face and Asuka is the heel, because she's more of a tween where you kind of decide what she is in your own mind. So if they head down that route with Reigns, if the kids like Reigns, if the males, the older adults don't like Reigns, well then hey, he's a tween, some like him, some don't, fair enough. It's kind of like what's been with Cena for such a long time. You know, if you like him, he's a heel to you. If he's not, he's a babyface. So I think we're going to head down that trend a little bit more now in current days, because people react so differently now compared to years before, where, you know, white meat babyface is going to be beloved. Now white meat babyface is going to be booed. So it's going to be your own perception, if you get what I mean. Like, I'm explaining that probably poorly, but if you get what I mean. But anyways, let's finish up WrestleMania here. Overall, I'd probably give it a B-. I thought it was a good show. Like I said, entertained me throughout the whole show. I was enjoying it. In terms of iconic WrestleManias, no. In terms of great moments, there was definitely a few there. In terms of great matches, don't think there was one standout match that I would probably go back and watch again. I would probably go back and watch some moments and some different things that happened. But would I go back and watch WrestleMania again? No. Would I go back and watch any of these matches again? Probably not. It's different because, like in NXT Takeover, I went back and watched Nakamura versus Zayn the next day. I watched it again. But did I go back and watch any WrestleMania? No, I didn't. I watched the Shane McMahon fell off the cell again. That was about it. That was the only moment I kind of went back and watched. So, you know, that's kind of like a way I kind of base it off. Would I ever go back and watch one of these matches again? No. So that, to me, there wasn't really any standout match in my personal opinion. But like I said, you know, these are my opinions. You can have your own opinions on what you think. You know, that's cool. That's fine by me. You know, we're allowed to disagree. That's the thing with, like, wrestling fans. Oh my God, you can't disagree with what I say. Well, you can. You can have your own opinion. I can have my own opinion. And that's why it's not so bad if you like Reigns and other people don't. Or if you like this wrestler and other people don't. It's fine. I mean, not everyone's going to like the same thing. And that's something that I guess we all harp on about a little bit too much. You know, like, oh my God, I can't believe you don't like this guy. Well, everyone has their own different tastes, so you've got to think about it like that. Some people are going to like Reigns, some people are not. You know, some people, you know, want this guy as champion, some people don't. So, You watch the ladder match again. That would probably be the one match I would say I'd watch again. But like I said, that was just filled with great spots, and that's what ladder matches really all are these days. So, anyways, moving on for WrestleMania, we'll talk about Raw, then we'll get into Hall of Fame and NXT. How long we got to go here? We've got another 50 minutes or so to go. So, Monday Night Raw, Shane McMahon is back running Raw. So, I missed the first 10 minutes of Raw, but I pretty much got the gist of it. Shane McMahon coming out and basically Vince McMahon giving him the power to run Raw for the night. Did Raw really feel like a different show to you? Did anything really, wasn't anything really different? So, just felt like, there was obviously debuts and things like that, different guys being used, but did it really feel like a different show, so to say? Not sure about that. But we had the Apollo Crews debut. Now, Apollo Crews, well, where do we start with this guy? It was a big surprise. I think they advertised it before the break. Apollo Crews debuts are coming up next. I'm like, wow, holy shit, this guy's debuting. Apollo Crews, he's the one guy, not the one guy, but one of the guys in NXT I think could be a major, major success. He has all the athletic ability. He's got the size, he's got the build. Promos, I haven't heard enough from him yet to really comment, but as a babyface, this guy is going to be it all. As a heel, well, remains to be seen, I'm not sure, but I think he could do it. Apollo Crews is the man. He is the one guy right now, currently debuting, and who is ready enough to come in through. Other than Finn Balor, who I think is going to be a huge, huge success. I looked at Sami Zayn. I see him as a mid-card. I just don't see him getting through that. I think he's going to be in the mid-card of hell for a long time. I just don't see him breaking through that. He might eventually, if the crowd cheers him enough, but it's going to take some time. Kevin Owens, last year, I think he's going to get to that main event level because I think he's good enough. I think he's a great heel, and I think I could see that happening. Neville, always saw him as a mid-card guy. Tyler Breeze, always saw him as a mid-card guy. Apollo Crews, I see as a legit main event, top-level guy. Maybe the first black... people, do we count The Rock? Yes, we do. Some don't. But since The Rock, the first black WWE champion. Now, count the World Heavyweight Championship if you want, but WWE champion, one belt, he's the man. I think Apollo Crews is going to do it. Apollo Crews is awesome. This guy is great. In-ring, fun to watch, has the look. This is the thing right now in the WWE. You need that look. Roman Reigns has the look. Some guys don't have the look. And Vince McMahon, whilst he's there, is always going to be about the look. Apollo Crews has the look, so you can probably believe that it's going to get done. Now, I hope the crowd don't turn on the guy. Now, I think they might push him a little bit too much. I fear that they might over-push the guy. But I think this guy is great. I think, honestly, I would love to see him get that IC championship from The Miz and have a long reign with it and really go from there. I think he could be a great star of the future. Was it the right time for Crews to debut? I was very shocked because I felt as though they might have kept him in NXT for another 6 months. I didn't think he was probably the right... I didn't know if he was next in line to debut. Now, if Finn Balor doesn't get the debut, then that's a little bit questionable. I think that's a little unfair. Not unfair, but I think I would start to question that a little bit. But it's all about timing, like you said. It's all about timing. And is it the right time to debut? Well, in terms of NXT, you've got Aries coming in, Nakamura coming in, Finn Balor and Samoa Joe still there. So Apollo Crews, I was thinking about this when I was watching NXT Takeover. I'm just well... is this guy ever going to get his chance? Is this guy ever going to get his shot to be the top guy? Because I'm surprised he's not NXT champion already. I thought I would have given him the belt already. I thought this guy's great. I would have definitely given him the belt. At least, position him where the belt is. So, I was very surprised, but I think it might be the right time. I think maybe there's just too many guys in NXT right now, and maybe they think, well, look, we'll feature him on the main roster instead. We'll give him the belt on the main roster rather than NXT. We'll do it that way. So I think, yes, right time for Crews. Yes, definitely. Do I think Bayley will be called up? No, I don't. Apollo Crews reminds you of Bobby Lashley. He does, definitely, but I think Apollo Crews is much superior in the ring compared to Bobby Lashley. I was a huge fan of Bobby Lashley. Big fan. I mean, mind you, I was younger, but big fan of Lashley, and I still am. If I watch TNA, I'd definitely enjoy Lashley. So I have no problem with that. So I think Apollo Crews is definitely much more superior than Lashley. Lashley just had a terrible, voice. He's a big, menacing dude, and he's got this little high-pitched voice. That's about as high as I can go. But high-pitched voice and didn't sound menacing whatsoever. So Apollo Crews doesn't sound that bad. So I think he should be fine. Will Bayley and Finn Balor debut within the month? I think Finn Balor, I'm hearing rumors still that Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson might be debuting. They were backstage on Raw, so there's some rumors that Finn Balor might be debuting soon, or at least the Balor Club, or those two, Gallows and Anderson, will be debuting soon. I heard it could be next week, but take that with a grain of salt. The women's division is strong enough at the moment they don't need Bayley yet. I definitely agree. Because at the moment you have Sasha, you got Becky, you got Charlotte, you got Paige, Natalya, blah blah blah. Bayley, she would just get lost in the shuffle. They've already got 3 women, and really only one of them has gotten the run with the belt, the top level run. So the other 2 still have time to get their chance. And I think the NXT women's division is a little weak right now. And I think Bayley could certainly be well suited down there. Her losing the championship would supposedly, I guess you could say, lead to rumors that she might be coming up. But I think if she's going to come up, it might be around SummerSlam time, rather than now, because they've already debuted so many guys. Holy crap, was it a lot of debuts in the show. So I think she's going to have to wait her turn. If Titus wasn't suspended, do I think Baron Corbin still would have won the Battle Royal? Yes. Titus O'Neil probably would have just been thrown out in the first couple minutes. I just don't, regardless, if Titus O'Neil didn't do what he did to Vince, which was nothing, by the way, who, by the way, Titus O'Neil is scheduled to be back next week. His suspension will be over after next week, I think. So I think he could be on Raw next week. But in terms of Titus O'Neil, I think right now, expect him to get probably the Damien Sandow treatment or the Tyler Breeze treatment. He'll come back and be like, oh, wow, Titus O'Neil's back. And he'll lose, and he'll lose, and he'll lose, and lose, and lose. And eventually, he won't be on TV anymore. If he does, he'll be on Superstars, and he'll be back to living in the shadows of nowhere. Titus O'Neil will probably eat shit for another year. He was getting a small little push, and now it's over. So don't expect anything from Titus O'Neil. I think Vince McMahon holds a grudge. Vince McMahon will be pissed off at Titus O'Neil. In fact, don't even be surprised if we don't even see Titus O'Neil for another 3 months. They just forget about the guy. Oh, screw it. We don't need Titus. We got Apollo Crews now. We don't need Titus O'Neil. So just expect crap like that. That's how the WWE works. So unfortunately for Titus O'Neil, he's got to wait his turn. We talked about The Miz winning the IC title. Baron Corbin officially on the main roster now. After winning the Battle Royal, it looks as though they've officially brought him up. So I'm not a Baron Corbin fan. Don't really like the guy. Just don't like he's just boring to me. Baron Corbin's just boring to me. I just don't really get into the guy. So, which is strange because everyone thinks like, oh man, you like the big guys. But Baron Corbin never liked him and probably never will. Cass and Enzo debut. They're feuding with the Dudleys. Seems as though that's what they're going with right now. It was a strong debut, a good crowd, the perfect crowd to debut in. They needed to debut then. They needed the right crowd. Otherwise, them saying all the catchphrases and literally no one else saying it with them would have been terrible. Just would have been, gone over like a wet fart. No one would have, cared at all. So it's the right thing to do. It's the right crowd, the right time. Like I said, it's all about timing. Like if you had to debut them in front of, a crowd that doesn't give a shit, then no one else would give a shit. Like why would you care? But you debut them in front of a hot crowd, and everyone wants to see them, and everyone is, cheering along and chanting along. It works well. It's a perfect time. So a good debut, a strong debut. A few with the Dudleys, like I said, should be good for them. It should be good. We also had Charlotte, had the kind of the championship celebration. Looks as though they're going to feud with Natalya. I'm not sure about that. I mean, what's the future of Sasha and Becky Lynch? Are we going to have Sasha and Becky Lynch feud one-on-one? Is that what's going to happen next? You know, it's a little iffy. I'm not sure what's going to happen from there. I'm not sure. But a Natalya and Charlotte feud, we've kind of already sort of seen it a little bit, but whatever. I mean, it's okay. So, you know, I think it'll be a solid feud. I don't think it's going to last long. I think it would just be a one match and done. So, Baron Corbin has a good finisher. Yeah, I do like his finisher. It was at the end of days. I like that. What's the Wyatt family's next move? Says J to the J-Pow. Well, it's interesting because the Wyatt family's next move, I mean, what did they beat up the League of Nations, that's right. They beat up the League of Nations, which is so odd because the night before they got their ass handed to them by The Rock and Cena. They got embarrassed. They got bitched out. So now, all of a sudden, we bitched them out on WrestleMania, and now we make them look strong on Raw. So, what's going on here? We're going to have a 3-on-3 feud, the League of Nations versus the Wyatt family. Are we going to try and force a face turn from the League of Nations? Or are they going to try and turn the Wyatt family? I just don't know if the Wyatt family can be turned. Can we just have them maybe as tweeners? You know, if you want to cheer them, you can. If not, well, forget it. But I think all I want from the Wyatt family, just make them strong. Just make them as legit. You know, don't have them lose all the time. Just have them win. Just have them beat League of Nations. Have these guys looking strong. These guys, build them up as a top-level, unbeatable stable. You know, then... Because right now, all they do is they build them up for 3 or 4 weeks and they have them lose the pay-per-view. You know, they win on Raw. They do so well on Raw. But they never win on pay-per-view. So, it's hard to believe the Wyatt family are that good because all they do is lose in the big matches. So, it's... they've got to really kind of rethink what they're going to do with the Wyatts because what they're doing right now is not working at all. At all. And I like the Wyatts. And I always have liked the Wyatts, but I have not liked them all that much in recent times because I just don't care about them anymore because they've made me really not care. They've made me not care because of their lack of a push or, you know, terrible booking. So... what do you think of the crowd? Personally, I think all crowds after Mania are just copying the Raw after WrestleMania 29 crowd. No, I think it's going to be tradition from now on. Every crowd after WrestleMania is going to be rowdy. You know, now they often do Raw in the same city as WrestleMania. I'm not sure. Did they used to do that? I don't think they did. Now they do, which is the right decision because everyone that was at WrestleMania is obviously going to go to Raw as well if they can. So, it makes sense, you know. I definitely would. If I was going to WrestleMania, because obviously I'm from overseas, I would want to go. That's the thing. A lot of overseas people from UK definitely want to go to Raw as well. They want to go to NXT. They want to go to Raw. They want to go to WrestleMania. They want to get the whole package to get as much as they can, their money's worth, and do it all. So, you're going to see the biggest fans of them all in that Raw arena. So, it's always going to be rowdy crowds from now on if they do... keep Raw in the same city. Do I think on Raw that they missed a Brie farewell promo and Brie will be Nikki's escort on her return? Like I said earlier on, I'm hearing that Brie Bella's retirement will be aired on Total Divas and not on Raw. So I think they might just have her off TV and, you know, air it on Total Divas. Bray isn't a heel or face, he listens to no one, defies authority. Well, yeah, you know, I think, like you said, I guess Bray Wyatt and the Wyatts are your own perception. You know, you can like them or you don't. Do I think Bad News Barrett is leaving the WWE now that the League of Nations has ditched him? Yes. And I think you could just say to Bad News Barrett, Wade Barrett, don't let the door hit you on the way out, because I could not give a flying fuck if you left, because Bad News Barrett, I've said it on many times this show. I don't like him. He's boring. People have always touted him to be such a great wrestler, such a great, you know, he could be a top guy. He could be this, he could be that. I've yet to see Bad News Barrett have one match that I went, wow, that was great. Promo-wise, he can deliver a decent promo, yes. But that's really the only upside I see to the guy. And the characters that they've had him do, the one I liked the most was the I'm afraid I got bad news. That was him. Bad News Barrett. I thought they were doing something well with that gimmick, but then they kind of dropped it for whatever reason, and then he went back to, what is he now, King Barrett? What the fuck was that? It was terrible. So you can blame the WWE creative as well as Bad News Barrett, but I think he was doing okay, but they dropped his character at when he was doing well. So, but Bad News Barrett, whenever he was getting a push, this is the thing, the guy had so many opportunities. Every time he came back, he would just get injured again. He's made of glass. He just gets injured over and over and over to the point where you can't push the guy anymore. As soon as you start pushing him, he gets injured again, injured over and over and over. It's just ridiculous, the injuries he's had. You can blame it bad luck or whatever, but you just can't push someone like that. So I think he's had his chances, but his body just isn't really helping him out at all. And I know he was injured not too long ago, and he's only really just come back from injuries. So I think, to be honest, goodbye, Barrett. I don't care. Add someone else to the group or just keep it as a trio. Bad News Barrett doesn't wrestle anyways. He doesn't offer anything to the group. He doesn't do anything. So if he left the group, no one would even notice. Do I think Cesaro will ever hold the WWE title? I think we're about to talk about Cesaro. He's next up, isn't he? So we'll talk about that in a moment. AJ Styles and the Fatal 4-Way. So Cesaro made his return. AJ Styles now number one contender for the championship. Cesaro coming back looked awesome, great. He came out with a suit, tore it off. It was badass. I love Cesaro. He's fantastic. Cesaro, he is awesome in the ring, entertaining. He's got it all. He amazes me. The things he can do in the ring is just amazing. He's so powerful, so strong. He's so unique. And that's why I like him so much. Everyone can do a drop kick and do a fancy move off the top rope, but it's the things that set you apart from others. Cesaro, he's not a huge guy, but he's certainly well built and everything. But he's not like 300 pounds, so he can pick up all these big guys and toss them around. Like, it's incredible that he can do that, and it sets him apart from everyone else. And Cesaro is so great. I was just hoping he would get the win, but it wouldn't be very believable if he had won that. Considering where he was before, I don't think it would have been a good decision. AJ Styles winning was a surprise. I thought it was going to be a heel to win. Obviously, Reigns is a face. But here's the thing. With AJ Styles winning, look, AJ Styles' crowd reactions have been dulling down a little bit. And even for this crowd, AJ Styles didn't get a great reaction, considering this is a crowd where I would have thought the crowd would blow the roof off for him. His crowd reaction has been dying down. Reigns, he's getting booed out of the building. And what happens when people verse a guy like Roman Reigns? They're going to cheer, and they're going to love the other guy. So I think, in my opinion, this is a way to get the crowd back on AJ Styles' side. The crowd is going to start cheering AJ Styles a lot more because they want AJ Styles to beat Reigns. So AJ Styles is going to get a bigger crowd reaction and much more babyface support. And it also, he might give Reigns a great match at Payback. And that might just give Reigns a little bit more crowd support. If he has a great match, the crowd might be like, okay, alright, fair enough. So there's a few different things they're trying here. They're trying to give Reigns a great match, a good opponent, but also just kind of using Reigns' heel heat and trying to rub it off on somebody else. I actually think, though, they might turn this into a triple threat. I think Chris Jericho might get added into it because I don't see Chris Jericho doing anything else. And it seems like they've still got that feud going a little bit. So I could definitely see it turning into a triple threat. We'll have to wait and see. But let's answer some of your questions. We've got a few questions here we're going to get through. Do I think Tyson Kidd is done with wrestling after his second neck injury? I think I could see him coming back. When do I think Kevin Owens will get a big main event push? I think it's got to be a matter of time now, isn't it? I think he's ready. I think that's for sure. He's definitely ready, and I think he's gonna do great. As a top level guy, I think he's on the cusp of getting that push. So it could be sometime this year. I think Kevin Owens will break into the main event and get there. What did you think of all the NXT debuts on Raw as well as the Vaudevillains on SmackDown? I talked about the other ones, but in terms of the Vaudevillains on SmackDown, Did I talk about that earlier? But the Vaudevillains on SmackDown is straight away a surefire way of failure. Failure. Not failure. Failure. You debut on SmackDown, it's over. It's already over before it begins. You know, look at Tyler Breeze. Debuted on SmackDown, it's over. It was dead from the beginning. So I think, in my opinion, you look at the Vaudevillains, a guy like Vince, is he going to get that? I don't even really get that. I don't really care for them. So I personally don't really care. So straight away, you're going to be like, wow, you know, a SmackDown debut, they're going to come on Raw, and it's just not going to work. So a debut, it's just, I don't know, I just don't see big things for it. I think it's going to be dead before it even begins. So it's not a good idea whatsoever. Also, we had a promo for the return of Primo and Epico, or might be a different name they might use, but the Puerto Rican guys. So I'm interested to see where they go with that. I mean, we've kind of been rumored to see them get repackaged for a while now, and it needed to happen, but Los Matadors was a horrible, horrible idea. But once again, I don't really see them doing much with them. I think it's just going to be, a short-term push, and then lead to nothing after that. So it'll have to be remain to be seen, but we'll see. But I just don't really see them doing all that much with them. And again, it's not a bad thing though, because now we got the villains, we got Primo Epico, we got Cass and Enzo. The tag team division's got some new teams in there, and it's going to be flourishing a little bit now. So that's not a bad thing. It's not bad at all. So I think we can appreciate that, and it's good signs going into the future. But for the tag division at least. But I don't think the villains or Primo and Epico are really going to get much of a push, if at all. So let's have a look. The roster size is getting too big. Cuts need to come. I definitely agree. Who would I cut though? Obviously Bad News Barrett's probably going to be on his way out. Ascension, they need to go. They're terrible. I probably would drop a lot of the social outcasts. Adam Rose, he's got to go. I probably would keep the rest, to be honest with you. I think they're okay. But Adam Rose, he sucks. Too old now to really do anything with him. And maybe even Darren Young might probably be on his way out as well. I think there's probably nothing there for him. I would keep Titus, but to be honest, are they going to do anything with him? Jack Swagger, I think he's had his expiry date now, and there's a few other guys I could probably, if you put in the chat, I would probably agree with, but there's a few at the top of my head. Bring back Carlito. I think Carlito, you bring him back to be in this group in the Primo and Epico and make it into a bit of a stable, would certainly make it much more successful. So I think it'd be a good idea to bring back Carlito to help them out and make it into more of a group. So we'll see, but I don't think it's going to happen though. Fandango, he's another one I would definitely cut as well. So I think that's going to do it for Monday Night Raw discussion. And just quickly on the Hall of Fame, about half an hour to go here. Hall of Fame, I thought the Hall of Fame was good. I think Hall of Fame, probably my favourite speech. I think maybe by default has to be Michael Hayes and the Freebirds. I think they had such a long, an hour, didn't they? They had a long time. They told some good stories, some funny stories. A little bit over the top, though, with the whole singing and dancing and all that, but, it is what it is. I thought Sting's speech was short, but good. Announcing his retirement, disappointing, but, and I know a lot of people kind of shit on Stan Hansen, but I actually thought his speech was great. I think a lot of people shit on him because they don't think he deserves to go in the Hall of Fame because people don't know their history, but Stan Hansen deserves to go in the Hall of Fame, and I thought his speech was good. Ric Flair, he's pretty much made Sting's induction speech all about him somehow. I mean, Ric Flair at his finest, talking about 15 different things at once. So, not really much to say about the Hall of Fame that you probably hadn't been said, or if you haven't watched it already, but I thought it was good. I watched the whole thing. I enjoyed it. I watched the red carpet as well. Thought everyone looked pretty good, and I like the Hall of Fame. You just get to see all the legends back and see what everyone looks like, and everyone dressed up. It's a good time. The Hall of Fame is always a lot of fun. Without Stan, there's no JBL. Absolutely. Stan Hansen, a huge impact on JBL. And Stan Hansen, some people, like, I've talked to some people that have never even heard of the guy. Like, I haven't really watched any of his matches because I haven't really gone back past the 90s, to be fair. And that's just me, but at least I know who he is. I've looked up his credentials, and, I've listened to people talk about him that watched, were watching in his prime. And they were, they're older now, they're in their 40s, and they were watching in the 70s and 80s, and they watched Stan Hansen, and they said he was great. And so, I back their opinion, and I agree with them. And, you look up his credentials and what he was doing, and, you got to agree with the guy. You got to definitely agree that he deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. And just because you're not really aware of what he's done, and, he might not be a big name to you, doesn't mean he doesn't certainly need to go in the doesn't deserve to go in the Hall of Fame. Like Tatsumi Fujinami, he's another guy, like, he had a great Japanese career. He had a great career, but just because, like, you're not really he's not really well known to you, doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to go in the Hall of Fame. So a lot of people like telling me, like, oh wow, I can't believe Stan Hansen is going in the Hall of Fame and Daniel Bryan isn't. And that to me is, like, ridiculous. That's just ludicrous to me. So Snoop Dogg opinion for Hall of Fame. I just didn't think Snoop Dogg deserved to go in the Hall of Fame. I think you've got to be a bit of a criteria. Look at Shaquille O'Neal now. He's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame next. I could definitely see him getting in the Hall of Fame after doing this WrestleMania thing. But Snoop Dogg doing the entrance now with Sasha Banks, and that, I think, kind of solidifies him probably as a borderline Hall of Fame inductee. What he did there was probably nearly enough. What is the criteria for the Hall of Fame? Maybe you show up 3 times, do a couple things a few times, slap someone, push someone, maybe have a match. If you have a match, that's automatically Hall of Fame. Have a match, you're in. Stephen Amell, he'll be able to be in the Hall of Fame next. So have a match, or have an interaction with someone and appear a certain amount of times. That's probably all you need to do for the Hall of Fame. So I guess on that criteria, Snoop Dogg did have a match, but I think he pushed Chavo or Curtis Axel or something. So yeah, whatever. Hall of Fame, sure. Stardust needs to become Cody Rhodes again. Well, he teased that on Twitter. He teased that he might be having a change to his wardrobe. So take that as you will. But I think Cody Rhodes as Stardust has been played out. I think it's time to drop that and probably go back to something else. But we've tried the Cody Rhodes thing, and it was working for a while, but I just don't know with Cody Rhodes. Is it too late? Is the guy, is it just too much baggage on the guy? Has he been around for too long? You've got to think Cody Rhodes has been in the company for like 10 years. It's been a long time. So is Cody Rhodes ever going to make it? I think a lot of people have high hopes, but is he going to make it? How can they have Mike Tyson in the Hall of Fame, but not Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan is in the Hall of Fame. He is. It was a little interesting though. Like, they shafted Hulk Hogan again when they were showing like all the packages of WrestleMania and all the historic figures of WrestleMania. Like, Hulk Hogan built WrestleMania from the ground up. He was right there, main eventing year after year after year, and to not even give the guy acknowledgement is ridiculous. Yes, he did the thing, and he's not on good terms, but come on, really? You want to forget about that? It's kind of ridiculous. I think Mike Tyson deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely, because he is a guy who came in like nearly his height of his popularity, and he came in and he had a big impact. He was involved heavily. He was on TV a number of times, and he was involved in some big angles. So Mike Tyson is a guy who 100% deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. He definitely fits the bill, more so than many others, definitely. And Levesque, will Batista have a match in WWE this year? No. The Boss 2K, will WWE ever forgive Hulk Hogan? I would say yes. I think it might take another couple of years, but once this lawsuit thing balls over and that's all done with, there might be a chance they might bring back Hulk Hogan. But there's really not much value left in Hulk Hogan anyways. I think they shouldn't have left him out of packages like they did at WrestleMania. Stop mentioning his name. I think they should still mention his name, but they don't really need to have the guy on TV. They don't really need to have him, but they can still mention the guy's name. I mean, come on. Do I think Ronda Rousey will ever go in the Hall of Fame? Unless she does something else. I mean, that one appearance is not enough. She's got to have a match, or she's got to come back again and do something else. I think once her UFC days are over, she might have a match. I think once she's done with UFC, which would probably be in another year or two, she might come over and have a match, do something. Who would she verse? Maybe Charlotte? Maybe Sasha Banks? I don't know. They don't really have anyone legit to believe that you could beat Ronda Rousey. Maybe she'll verse a man. Maybe she'll verse a man. You never know. They've always talked about her versing a man. Will she be able to beat a man? Well, maybe she verse a man in WWE. And even though that's not PG or whatever, but hey, it could happen. Do I think that Ronda Rousey will ever come to WWE permanently? No. I think she might, have a match or two, but no. Do I think CM Punk will ever return to WWE? Yes. Absolutely. Asuka versus Ronda, that's a good point. I could see that. I could do that. That's nice. She's living the dream in UFC, no reason to come to WWE. Well, you think about it, is she really living the dream? Her career is tanking. If she loses her next fight, it's all over. She's done. And unless Hollywood's really calling her, and I don't think they really are that much anymore, I doubt it. She needs to get back into the ring and win that championship back. Otherwise, her career is probably done. If she wins, this is what she needs to do. She needs to win, get back in, win a couple fights, become the number one contender for the title, win the title, and then retire with the title. That's it. Win the title back, and that's it. Retire. Forget it. That's it. You're done. And then go on to do other things. That way you retire on top, you got the title back, it's a great story, and because if you lose the title, then that doesn't help you. But if you go out as a winner, then you go out as a winner. People are going to remember you winning the title back, and it's going to be the lasting memory of you in your career. That's my thought. I should start reviewing NXT Weekly. I don't watch NXT Weekly. If I did watch it weekly, I would review it, but I just don't get around to watching it weekly. I mean, sometimes I'll check it out, but it's quite rare. I just, this week right now, I just feel like I'm all wrestling out. Oh, I watched so much wrestling this week, I'm a little jaded of it. So, I definitely wouldn't be watching NXT this week, that's for sure. But some weeks, if I feel like I didn't get enough wrestling, because Raw is 3 hours, I feel like I get enough wrestling every week where I'm okay. 3 hours a week is enough for me, so I don't really need to go out and watch more. If I was going to watch another hour of wrestling, it would probably be Lucha Underground, not NXT, because I feel like I don't really need to watch NXT every week. I watch the Takeover specials and I can still enjoy it a lot. Probably would it help if I watched NXT weekly? Yeah, probably, but I like to see the showcase of the best on Takeover rather than weekly. I don't know. I would just say my excuse is, if I had an excuse, it's because I watch enough wrestling as it is. I don't think I need to watch any more. I don't know. What else we got? Ronda versus Steph, a 30-second squash match. Nah, I wouldn't. I'd rather see her versus an actual competitor. Do I think Bray Wyatt will get a title shot this year? Yes. She's already number one contender as Ronda Rousey. Well, there you go. So she'll get the belt back and retire on top. That's what I would do. I'm that busy every Wednesday night. It'd be Thursday morning. NXT's on at Thursday morning, so I don't really want to get up at 10 a.m. Go to my computer at 10 a.m. to watch NXT every morning. Not something I really do. But and speaking of NXT, we'll talk about NXT quickly now. So NXT Takeover, I thought Nakamura versus Zayn was absolutely insane. That was something very different to what we normally see. That was a great match, really good. I went back and watched it again, and really, really good. So probably one of the best matches of the year thus far. It was just very different, and that was good. Different is good. But I really liked Bella and Joe. The blood at the start really made the match very interesting and really made it so exciting. to see what was going to happen. Unfortunately, they just kept trying to wipe the blood off Joe, and that was kind of a little disappointing. But I think it just felt really intense, and I think it might have been the right time to perhaps do a double turn. Turn Joe and turn Balor, but they just kind of stuck with their guns, had Balor win, and they moved on. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Is Balor going to move up? Is Joe going to move up? Like, what's the go there? I'm not exactly 100% sure, but so there's a lot to look forward to in NXT. If you are watching NXT on a weekly basis, there's a lot to look forward to. I think there's a lot of guys probably that'll be moving up, so NXT might be depleted a little bit, but I think they're going to be replacing those talents. And obviously, Bobby Roode showing up at NXT Takeover. Is he going to sign? I think it's Ibushi, is it? Or am I thinking the wrong name? I think it's Ibushi, Kota Ibushi. He showed up, so he probably will sign. I think he's going to be in the NXT, not the NXT, the WWE Cruiserweight, Global Cruiserweight Challenge thing. I think he might be in that. So there's a lot to look forward to, I think, in NXT. A lot of exciting new names coming through. I think they're going to give Nakamura a massive push. I think he'll probably win the belt at some point and be one of their top-tier guys. Will Hideo Itami come back? Maybe. Austin Aries as well. I thought Austin Aries and Baron Corbin didn't have a great match. It was probably the only low match of the night. Who do I blame on that one? I don't know. I would blame both. I didn't think both of them just gelled. I think it was definitely a mismatch. It was not a good matchup. It didn't make Austin Aries look good because Austin Aries was just outsized by a long mile. Not a good matchup. American Alphas, they're great. And great victory over the Revival, so I'm so happy they won the titles. I think they have a huge future as a tag team. I think they could be massive as a tag team. They were one team I really, really had my eye on. They were really, really great. And the women's match, now I'm going to be fair, I didn't really pay much attention to the women's match, but I heard it was really, really good. I probably should go back and watch it again. I just kind of lost attention for a little bit of time there, so my bad. But I think I was just so hyped after Nakamura and Zayn, and I kind of just lost attention a little bit to the women's match. But I probably should go back and watch that one again. But NXT TakeOver Dallas was really, really good. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And I'm going to ask the chat, do you think NXT TakeOver was better than WrestleMania? That's a big question. I think a lot of people will probably say TakeOver was better. I think TakeOver had better matches, but I think I enjoyed WrestleMania more. I think WrestleMania, just the big crowd, the big spectacle, just all those different elements, I think I enjoyed it a lot more. But I think the crowd of NXT and the matches on NXT were far, far better. So in terms of a wrestling show, NXT was much, much better. But in terms of a sports entertainment show, if you want to say that, I read someone on Twitter kind of use that phrase, then WrestleMania would be better. But TakeOver was really good. That was really, really good show. So many great matches and so much to look forward to in the future. I think, I should watch NXT Weekly, shouldn't I? I really should. Really should. Yeah, Clever and Crazy puts it best. NXT TakeOver, better matches. WrestleMania, better moments. That's what I would probably say. So, I think we had some other questions up here. What do I think about The Miz winning IC title? I said that one before. I thought I didn't like it. When do you think Finn Balor will go up to the main roster? Well, if it's not soon, then I don't know. I mean, I think the time was now, but yeah. Who do I think will be the next NXT champion? Well, I thought Samoa Joe was going to win it, but if he's not going to win it, then you'd have to probably say Nakamura at this point. Now that Apollo Crews has moved up, you'd have to definitely say Nakamura. So, where are we right now in terms of time? We're about ready to wrap this up. We've got nearly 2 hours done here. 100 episodes. Amazing. Thank you so much for watching and listening in. It's been a great journey, 100 episodes. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Let's Talk Tuesdays. We're going to keep going. This is not just the beginning. We're going to do another 100 episodes, another 200 episodes. Maybe not 200, we'll see. But we're going to keep doing more episodes and more and more and more. Was it nearly 2 years now of Let's Talk Tuesday? So it's been a lot of fun. I love doing the podcast. Probably one of my favorite things to do every week. Sit down for an hour and talk about wrestling for an hour and all that. In terms of other things like what I've been doing this week, I haven't really been doing anything else this week. I've just kind of kind of been hyped for WrestleMania and kind of just been looking forward to that. So, it's been a very big wrestling week. It was wrestling week. So, as I kind of coined the phrase last week, it was wrestling week. And now I guess we're going to just be chilling out. Chilling out after wrestling week and kind of debriefing and kind of analysing where we're going to go next. So I want to say a big thanks to everyone that came in and has been listening in. If you listen to one episode or you listen to all 100, it doesn't matter. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. I know a lot of you guys kind of tune in and listen in for the Universe Mode stuff or watch for the Universe Mode stuff. But to come along and watch and listen in to the podcast where you just want to hear me talk, that's the coolest thing. That is honestly the biggest compliment, because you want to hear me talk. And I know probably today I was a little all over the place because I'm trying to do a number of different things, like read the chat, play this game as well while I'm on the stream, and do all the different things for the 100th episode. But I really want to thank everyone that's come along and had a good time doing this podcast. And like I said, 100 more episodes. Let's do it. And if you are listening live right now, it will be available on YouTube later on if you did miss it. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next. And for everyone listening in on YouTube and the Twitter and everything like that, send me a tweet. Put a comment down below about your thoughts on WrestleMania. What was your favorite match and everything like that. And tell me your thoughts on WrestleMania and everything else you heard in today's podcast. And thanks, guys, for listening in, and I will see you all next Tuesday.